Remember this? I sure do. And here, gazing ahead towards the reopening of our industry, I'm thinking a lot about meeting again. When I take a moment and imagine what things might look like upon the return of events and convention center gatherings, I have total confidence we will be doing our utmost to reopen safely, but often wonder, will we be able to do so sustainably as well? My name is Eric Wallinger, Director of Sustainability at MeetGreen, and we've helped support and develop sustainability planning for some of the greenest events on the planet for over 26 years. If you've ever worked or been connected to the meetings and conventions industry for any length of time, you likely know how challenging it can be to affect change across our supply chains and venues, and how far we've come in terms of sustainability, particularly in the last decade. Is this hard-won ground we have gained going away? Here at MeetGreen, we believe it doesn't have to slip far, even in the immediate term. And what do we base that on? As a foundation for analysis, we reflected back over our minimum baseline sustainability practices we historically applied at every event prior to spring of 2020. We asked, given what we know about current CDC guidance and venue operations, where do safety and sustainability intersect? And where is it possible to make a more sustainable choice while still retaining and supporting attendee, staff, and venue safety? What did we find? Somewhat surprisingly, that in the vast majority of the cases, 14 of the 16 initiatives were safe to move forward. Only 2 of them were questionable yellow flag practices in today's understanding of COVID-19, and none were flat out no's. What follows are 16 simple ideas that will hopefully equip you and your teams with ways to visualize and consider sustainability as our events and industry reopen and reactivate. Asking for recycling at your venue. Recycling centers are considered essential, and they're available to you in your events. I work closely monitoring property-wide and commercial waste streams all year long, and even I was surprised by the tremendous impact the closures of our large gatherings have had on our supply chains. They are big contributors of recycling feedstock in our society. If we view our event waste operations as an ecosystem, by removing one of those central food supplies, we can directly witness the impact on the whole system, like this spring and summer when we saw shortages of fiber items like toilet paper, paper towels, and cardboard for months on end. Another, requesting no bottled water. From the CDC perspective, the primary vector of transmission from COVID-19 appears to be prolonged exposure from respiratory droplets. Although surface transmission is considered secondary, touches and surfaces do remain a concern. However, when you walk through the number of touches and hand contact within the past 72 hours of even a sealed bottle of water that reaches you versus receiving water in a reusable cup from a water barista or filling your own bottle from a touchless system, reusable and refill systems can be at least equally as safe while being significantly more sustainable, even though you may be collecting and recycling plastic at your event. According to the United Nations, on average, only 9% of plastic is actually recycled globally. There is something that just feels right when safety and sustainability work together, like requesting an EcoChoice program at your hotel block that includes towel reuse. Why not cut down on strangers entering your room during your stay, reducing potential points of transmission and saving water? Did you know it takes 1.3 gallons of water to wash just one towel? As one of those places we're trying to be mindful of our excess touches, that is where our first yellow flag comes up, around bulk condiments. It is possible that the frequently touched top of a bulk ketchup dispenser, for example, would carry more risk than a packet. And there are, of course, ways to mitigate, such as sanitizer before touching. But given high volumes of unique touches here, combined with the fairly minimal impact of a condiment packet, this is an area that could likely lean towards disposables until we have more field data. Requesting leftover food be donated. One of the areas most affected by our venue closures has been food banks. The volume and pipeline previously reaching them came predominantly from our commercial sector. The existing protocols already protecting our donated unserved food are directly applicable here in a COVID-19 environment as well. Venues have never taken health and safety here lightly, and donating unserved event food is another powerful area that should have the green light to proceed. Here's an easy one. Requesting water glasses are not pre-filled. It's sometimes easy to forget water scarcity affects 1 in 3 people on the planet. I'm speaking to you right now from the Central Valley in California, and water issues here are very real. Even in a land of seeming plenty and abundance, what better way to decrease wasted water and improve attendee safety than through less hand contact and filling water only as needed? Next is an especially important one, requesting no disposable serviceware at your events. When we think of safety and sustainability holistically, looking upstream and downstream in our operations and supply chains, it's not just the moment of consumption or access at venues that can have direct impacts. Reusable materials like cups, plates, and utensils begin and end on site. They're washed at very high temperatures with cleaning products, and in many cases are actually handled less prior to use. Given the closed loop scenario of having these materials beginning and ending on site, they also substantially mitigate downstream contamination with our waste haulers and recycling centers. Now you may be thinking, well, that's easy for you to say, or you're just looking at things through a very green lens. But it's not just sustainability professionals. The medical community has weighed in here as well, with a recent statement of support for reusables signed by 119 scientists from 18 different countries. Many of these signatories are from some very prestigious institutions that include Yale, NIH, which is the National Institute of Health Sciences, Georgetown University's School of Nursing and Health Studies, Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, and Oxford University. Their conclusion? Single-use plastic is not inherently safer than reusable and causes additional public health concerns once it's discarded. Now, back to our best practices. And staying in the realm of food, sourcing your produce and your proteins locally is a preferred practice under almost all circumstances. You know your region, its context, and its issues. By sourcing locally, you will reduce excess handling and travel-related carbon. Plus, the impact of your spend will be magnified exponentially by staying within your broader community. In the realm of printed material, reusing your printed signage remains an excellent option. The vast majority of your attendees will not be touching these during the event, and they will have months or years in storage after to air out and be ready for you again next cycle. And even better, don't print physical signage in the first place. Electronic signage is another practice that's both most safer and more sustainable for the environment, and is especially applicable here during venue reopenings. And if you can't reuse your existing signage or move electronically, reducing your physical signage and printing overall is a helpful strategy. Less things, less disposable. In general, that seems to be the common theme around safe and sustainable. Ways that you can reduce COVID-19 exposure risk and your material created, transported, and disposed connected to your event. Now, this holds especially true for your conference swag as well. If an 1,000 attendee event eliminated its giveaway swag item, like a nylon tote bag, it would be like eliminating the greenhouse gas emissions from a car driven almost 55,000 miles. There are a myriad of other ways to show attendee appreciation and gifting, such as supporting your organization's favorite charity or even carbon offsets. Now on to our second yellow flag. This is an area we're likely to see some COVID-19 impacts, and it's our material donation streams and outlets. Our events are tremendous pipelines of furniture and materials, and one of the most well-known and active material recovery events in our industry is IMEX America. Over 9 years of tracking, they've rescued and donated over 39,000 kilograms of furniture and exhibit hall build materials. In the United States, that translates to almost 86,000 pounds. In some ways, though, it's hard to conceive of a donated roll of carpet or exhibitor table being a significant vector of transmission downstream, but there is likely to be some caution here, especially in the beginning. Trying out strategies such as letting donations air out in a pile, wiping them down, disinfecting them, or even leaving them on the loading dock in the sun. These could all be ways to help build confidence with your partners and your team that these items are safe to donate. And the last two items, they work particularly closely hand in hand. The first is conducting a back-of-house tour with venue stakeholder teams. This will help you verify and observe that safety and sustainability measures have been implemented to the highest degree. This piece was critical before COVID-19, and it's even more so now. Transparency, traceability, chains of custody, accountability, quality assurance. These are all necessary parts of future-facing events. Help ensure they're taking place with a back-of-house tour. And lastly, once you've verified and audited your sustainable operations, communicate about sustainability to your attendees. This can take the form of app or web content, on-site digital signage, fun facts, even walk-in session slides. Against the backdrop of COVID-19, the more you can do to educate your stakeholders about what you're doing to make them safer and more sustainable, the more willing your teams will be to take ambitious next steps around serviceware, structural, and donations decisions. Two of the biggest areas I'm hoping to convey in this presentation are that safety and sustainability are not mutually exclusive. They work together and they support each other. At their core, sustainability strategies are risk mitigation strategies. So I urge you to view the two as one. And secondly, when we really think through many of the things we were doing at our meetings in gatherings prior to 2020, and then walk through them step by step. In a reopening scenario, a staggering amount of them are still very possible, even in the near term. I hope this video has helped give you some fresh ideas for ways our events can retain their core sustainability values and initiatives as we enter an exciting new era for our industry. Thank you for viewing, and here's to a safe and sustainable reopening.